G'day legends, I hope you're all fantastic. This is the new Fender Switchboard effects loop switcher. They've developed this with RJM, who are renowned for their effects loop switches. This packs a bunch of functionality from the RJM switches into a pretty compact form factor at an accessible price point. Basically, you have 6-foot switches on here, and you can run this in preset mode, so you can set the order and the effect status of whatever pedals you want to patch into this, or you can run it in loop mode, so you can just patch all your favorite pedals in here and then turn them on and off individually. You can see on the back there, hopefully if this focuses in, you've got an input and a stereo output via TRS, and then 5 loops. The 5th loop can be set up as a stereo loop with a little switch on the back. You've got a USB-C jack for firmware updates and a MIDI output. Furthermore, you've got an expression pedal input and a foot switch output. So you can hook up an external expression pedal to this and use that as a volume pedal that you can place anywhere in the chain. Furthermore, the foot switch out can be sent to, say, the channel switch plug on an amplifier or the tap tempo input on a delay pedal. You've got a bunch of different configurations that you can set up on a per preset basis or a foot switch basis on here. You can also send a bunch of different MIDI program and control change messages on here. What I want to do with this is just slap together a little board that hopefully showcases how powerful this is and just gives you a few ideas for using this. A big thank you to Heath and the team at Fender Australia for sending this out to me so I can make this demo video. I'm just about to go on tour, but I've been able to just kind of sit down for a few hours and suss this thing out. Let's hear it. Here's a fun little board that I put together for this demo. I'm plugging my guitar into the switchboard. In loop 1, I've got the Past Effects Elastic Mattress, an amazing recreation of the old 18-volt Electro Harmonix Electric Mistress, and probably my favorite modulation pedal ever. In loop 3 and loop 5, I've got the Eventide H90 doing double duty. I'm running it in dual mode, so it essentially operates like 2 independent pedals. I've also got that connected via MIDI to the switchboard so that when I change presets on the switchboard, it will change presets on the H90. Then in loop 4, I've got the way huge Atreides, which just sounds gross and disgusting. In loop 2, I've actually put my Axe effects, and I'm just going to be using that for amp and cab simulation. With this setup, I can put the loops in any order, so I can place these effects before or after the amp and cab simulation as I see fit. So let's just go through the first 4 presets in here. I'll let you hear them, then I'll talk through them. So that is just there to showcase some different combinations. Preset number 1 is just the Elastic Mattress, as you may have guessed by the choice of riff on there. Preset number 2, though, is using the Atreides for an over-the-top sub-octave fuzz. I've got the Weed Whacker algorithm in the H90 placed before the amp and cab sim, but then I've got a stereo delay after the amp and cab sim using loop 5, which I've set up to be a mono send and a stereo return. I also had the volume pedal set up as an expression pedal on there, so I could use that on any of these presets. You heard that on preset 3, where I had a delay, some stereo pitch detune, and I was doing some volume swells with the connected expression pedal. And then preset 4 was just an octaver on the H90. You would have seen that the H90 was changing programs while I was changing the different preset numbers on the switchboard. So that's one way to run the switchboard in preset mode. And if you want to get in there and edit what's going on, you just press these two foot switches together, and hopefully you can see on there with the display, it might be a little bit small. You can come in here and you can actually just press this encoder and organize the loops any way you like. So for example, I could run this with the volume pedal first, then I could hit loop 1, which is my elastic mattress. We'll go loop 4, which is the Atreides. I am then going to hit loop 3, which is going to be the first algorithm in the H90. Then we'll hit loop 2, which is the amp and cab sim. And then finally, we will place the stereo loop 5 at the end. I can then go through and I can select different effects and set whether they're on and off for this preset. So let's set number 5 on over here. So what I should have now is a circular style delay. I've got my volume pedal activated and I have the elastic mattress on there. Let's check this out. I just switched over to a dirty amp sim there so we could hear some glorious grease on top of all of that. Furthermore, I can come in and if I'm using the foot switch out on the switchboard, I can set its status to, I think it's one of 7 different tip and ring combinations. So if you've got an external pedal or an amp that you want to change the channel or the status of tap tempo or something like that, you can set all of that up by navigating through here. Furthermore, you can set up MIDI program and control change messages in here. I have to reach over here. So if I hit that one, you can see I can set up MIDI PC messages by hitting this button. And I can send individual messages on all 16 MIDI channels, or I can have an Omni message on there. Furthermore, I can set up control change messages on here so you can see the number and the value. So this is a very powerful MIDI device as well, as you'd expect from something that's designed by RJM. The RJM switches are amazing, and this carries over some of the functionalities. So for example, if you wanted to use this with, say, an Axe-Fx and you wanted to change scenes on the Axe-Fx, you can do that using these control change messages, or if you had a pedal like a Strymon or a Meris or anything that supports MIDI control change messages on there, you could do all of that on here. And let's have a look at how many control change messages we can send. So there's 15 on there. So that's relatively comprehensive on there. For a lot of people, that's going to be more than enough. We can exit from there. We can also set up expression pedal MIDI control, which is really cool. And we can rename the channels over there. So there's some really nice MIDI functions on here. To exit the menu again, I can just go back on there. Furthermore, with each preset, I can save it as a favorite, and I can have a whole bunch of favorite presets in there. So if I wanted to start a new preset in a new bank, I could just start with one of my favorite presets over there. This one that I've got at the moment is already set up as a favorite. So if I exit this mode, you can see that I've got 4 presets in a bank and there's 100 banks over here. So if I came over to a new bank and I selected preset number 1, then I hit edit over here, what I can do is navigate over to this menu right here. So preset number 1, I can hit there. I can hit the edit name function over here and rename it, or I can come back and I can come over to this little menu here. I can come down to clear or replace, hit replace, and I can replace it with my favorite. So I will replace it with favorite number 1 over here. And if I exit this, you can see that now that first preset in the second bank is already configured as my favorite preset over here. And again, I can have multiple favorites. So It is way less tedious than having to go through every single preset and every single bank and program it from scratch. You've got a standard template for your effects routing. Let's say you've got all your effects patched in, you go, you know, for my cover gig, I'm always going to have the elastic mattress first. I'm always going to have the second part of the H90 last. I might want to change some other pedals in slightly different orders. I might have 2 or 3 favorite presets. Then I can populate the banks on like a per song or per set basis to do that, which I think is a really handy feature when it comes to presets. But you can also use this in a standalone loop mode, which, you know, I always look at these kind of big boards with lots of pedals and go, why would you have a switcher when you can just turn the pedals on and off? Well, the advantage is when you bypass a pedal, it is completely removed from the signal chain over there. So if you've got like a pedal with, I don't know, a preamp that is coloring the sound, or a pedal that's a little bit noisy or potentially unreliable, using this in loop mode just lets you isolate all of that. And when there's nothing in the chain, you're just going straight in and straight out. You can even turn the buffers in this on and off. So I'll show you how to get into loop mode. It's very easy. You just have to hold down the top left foot switch from preset mode and you will get into loop mode. Here you can activate each loop as you like by pressing the relevant foot switch on here. Furthermore, if you hit both foot switches, you get into edit mode over here, and you can rearrange the loops into whatever order you like. If you hit this encoder, you can set up the loop order using the foot switches on here. I like all these kind of hands-free options. So you could do this while you're playing just using your feet over here. So what I want to do is I want to have my elastic mattress first, then let's have the Atreides. Next, we'll have one of the modes from the H90. Then I'll have the amp and cab sim. Then I'm going to have the volume pedal, and then I'm going to have the stereo mode of the H90 over here. So if I engage loop 2, this should just be my straight up amp sound. That's using a dirty amp as a starting point. If I started with a clean amp and a different preset on the H90. Somebody who's used to just chaining a bunch of pedals together, but you wish you had the ability to change the order a lot easier, the loop mode on there will make a lot of sense to you. If you're somebody used to chaining a bunch of pedals together and you're sick of tap dancing, the presets along with the favorites function in there is going to make organizing the sounds for your set list a whole lot easier on there. I really do have to applaud Fender for this one, being able to take all the things that make an RJM switcher great, like the clean signal path, the build quality, the MIDI functionality, and the flexibility of reordering loops and having a stereo loop on there, but doing it at a really accessible price point and making it widely available. I've seen these listed for $449 US on Sweetwater and around 650 Australian dollars. The fact that basically you'll be able to walk into any music store you like anywhere in the world because of Fender's distribution reach and get access to a fantastic matrix switcher with MIDI capabilities, expression capabilities, and the ability to just kind of patch your pedal board in and reorder the loops any way you like. I think this is going to be a hit. I would love to know your thoughts in the comments section below. Does this sort of functionality at this price point appeal to you? And is this something that you'll be looking to grab to organize your pedal board? I will do some more videos while I have this here. I've been talking to Troy, co-host of the Gear podcast, about just kind of slapping together a concept board for his studio with this. So if you'd like to see that video, let me know in the comments section below. And if you want to check out the Gear podcast, that is linked in the video description. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel, my Patreon and the music that I make with Ragdoll is linked in the video description. You should also check out some of the fantastic manufacturers that I've featured on this video: the Eventide H90, the Past Effects Elastic Mattress, and the Way Huge Atreides. They're pedals that I absolutely love as well. I want to say thank you to Heath and the team at Fender Australia for getting this one out to me so I can make this video. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future and go and make a bunch of glorious guitar noises in the meantime. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.